Here we go. Okay, so first, active range of motion. Here, either take your elbows out wide to the sides like you're making a goalpost shape with your arms, or stretch your arms up and overhead. I kind of check in with my shoulder joint and see which one feels best. Okay, so arms up and overhead or elbows bent wide out to the sides. Really press down through your left heel. Keep that left leg straight if you can, and just sweep that right foot up towards the ceiling. So right away, I'm already feeling my right hip flexor quadriceps start to come online. And I'm not using my hands. My arms are either stretched overhead or my elbows are relaxed to the sides. So with that right foot stretching up towards the ceiling, can you hug the front ribs in a little bit? So there's a tendency to really arch the low back. See if you can kind of reduce that. I'm not asking you to get your back flat on the ground, but just kind of reduce the flexion of the lumbar spine. Take a big breath in here. Stay active through that left leg, heel bone, calf muscle, glute, pressing down into the mat. And then on your exhale, the only thing that's going to move is that right leg out to the right side, and you're only taking it out to the right as far as it will go without the use of your arms and while keeping your left leg active. Let's take 2 breaths here. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more time, inhale. One more time, exhale. Right foot back up towards the ceiling. And lower the right leg just like to 45 degrees. So not all the way, just like to 45 degrees away from the floor. Start to feel a little bit more of the quadricep muscle come online. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. Lower the right leg a little more so it's hovering just above the mat. It's still not relaxed. You're still actively engaging both legs, but the right heel is hovering. Deep breath in here. And breath out. Slowly lower that right heel down. Relax. Just completely relax the whole body. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Second side, active range of motion. So this means, again, we're not using our arms to help our leg lift. You're stretching your arms high overhead or your elbows are relaxed out to the side. Inhale, sweep your left foot up towards the ceiling. For me, it helps to flex my left toes towards my face and to also flex my right toes towards my face. So both legs, I'm kind of triggering and reminding them to stay active. And instead of letting the low back arch away from the mat, hug those front ribs in. So it kind of reduces a little bit that curve at the lumbar spine. Not completely. There is a natural curve to the lumbar spine. Take a breath in here. Just hold for a couple of breaths. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Nice and slow. Left foot's going to out to the left side, only as far as you can go without the help of the hands. I'm still active in my right heel. My right heel bone is pressing down. My right calf is pressing down. My toes are flexed towards my face. So range of motion is going to be different. It doesn't have to be that far out to the left side. Just go where you can go and breathe there. Inhale. Exhale. One more time, inhale. Really slow on your exhale. Come back up through center. Start to lower that left leg 45 degrees away from the floor. So notice how this changes the sensation and what muscles are firing in the thigh. Breathe in here. Breathe out here. Nice and lower the left heel until it's hovering just above the mat and you're still active and engaged through both legs, especially right heel bone pressing down. Notice if the lumbar spine has peeled away, hug those front ribs in. One more breath in. Breath out, release the left leg. Let the toes completely relax. Big, big belly breath here. Breath out. One more time, full breath in. And a full breath out. Let's explore our passive range of motion. So now with your strap, sweep your right foot up towards the ceiling. And if you can, keep that left leg active, engaged, pressing all the way down into your mat. Loop up the ball mound of your right foot. Re-extend the right foot. Okay. And then bend the elbows. So your hands release down the strap so that your elbows can bend and your shoulder blades can settle down onto the floor. The back of your head is heavy. Your shoulder blades are resting and plugged in. Pressing your heel bone of your right foot up towards the ceiling, your heel bone of your left foot down. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. One more breath cycle. Inhaling. Exhaling. Both ends of the strap into your right hand. Left arm, maybe it comes out to the side. Anything, anywhere that left hand goes, it's just a reminder to keep that left hip pinned down to the ground exactly as it is. Regardless of how far that right leg goes, keep the integrity of your left leg. Okay, so you can bend the right elbow, maybe the tricep comes to the floor. Don't take it too far. We're just kind of exploring the hip flexors, their strength and their range of motion. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. One more full breath cycle. Bring that right foot back up towards the ceiling. And just the tiniest amount, well, first take the straps into your left hand. Take your right thumb and now tiniest amount, you're going to turn your right toes towards the left, but your right hip, the back of the hip, staying on the ground. So really for me, this is like maybe 2 inches of movement off to my left. It's not far at all. We're not coming into a twist. We're just working a little bit with the outer edge of the right leg. Take 2 breath cycles here. Now right leg back up through center. Really deeply bend into your right knee. And then if you can, if you have the range of motion, your right hand wraps around the inner right ankle towards the heel bone. Okay, so hand towards the inner edge of the heel bone. Or maybe you're still using your strap. Either way, the thigh is moving towards the right side of the ribs, the right knee is moving out to the right. You're still relaxing your shoulders, both right and left. You're still relaxing the back of your head. And you're still engaged through that left long leg. Let's take 2 breaths here. One more time. So release that right leg. Let it meet the left. 2 long legs. Relax your arms. 2 breaths in between sides. Even though we now know where we're going, we still pause and take a moment in between right and left side. Again, second side, passive range of motion. This means we're going to use our strap and our hands to lengthen that left foot up towards the ceiling. So see if you can get your strap apparatus, whatever you're using, around the ball mound of the left foot. Press the foot towards the ceiling, active, and grab the right long leg. Relax your elbows. Let your shoulder blades be heavy into the back of your mat. Let the back of your head rest. See if you can neutralize the neck so the chin's not jutting way up towards the ceiling. If that's happening, slightly tilt the chin towards the chest. Just take a few moments here to breathe, to pause, to notice. One more full round of breath here. Now both ends of the strap into your left hand. And then right arm out to the right side, anywhere that's going to help you remind yourself that you're staying actively engaged through that right side body. Left leg starts to sweep off to the left. You can bend that left elbow, maybe the elbow and the tricep come down to the ground. If your range of motion allows, but we're not forcing, there's no need. We're just exploring the body. One of the things that I love about a hatha yoga practice is the emphasis on equanimity, the ha and the ta, the balance and the union of opposites. Ha meaning sun, ta meaning moon. But really there's a bigger metaphor here when these two things come together. There's a balance. And we're looking for balance in our body. Next breath in, left foot moves back up towards the ceiling. You still have the strap in your hand. You're passing it off to the right hand now. Left thumb into the left thumb crease, or left hip crease rather. And you're just barely turning your left toes towards your right shoulder, barely sweeping the leg across the body. For me, it's really like 2 inches because I'm keeping my left hip crease, my left hip iliac crest down on the mat. So the back of the pelvis stays on the mat. And take a couple of breaths here. One more time. Now, as you come back through center with that left foot, start to walk your hands up the strap, deeply bend into your left knee. Let that left knee move out towards the left armpit. And then you can continue to use the strap, but if the range of motion allows and you want to use your hand instead, you're using the left hand to kind of make this stirrup on the inner left heel bone. So I'm taking inside of my ankle, wrapping my hands around the inside of the left heel bone. And then relax that left shoulder. Let the head be heavy. Really strong press into the right heel bone. Take a few breaths here. One more breath in. And a breath out. Start to release that left leg. Let it stretch out long to meet the right leg. And just a few moments here to pause. Let both of those sides integrate. Let everything come back to the center line. And in any way you like, we'll make our way up to a seated position. And we're going to not cross our legs, but we're going to keep our legs extended out in front of us like you're coming into Dandasana staff pose. So in Dandasana, legs are stretched out long. And typically the setup for this is hands alongside the hips, fingertips pointing forward, but we're going to kind of change that up. So hands move a little bit back behind the hips, and I'm going to externally rotate my fingers. So my fingertips are pointing towards the outer edges of the mat. And I'm just going to kind of let this be really lazy, like the laziest Dandasana you've ever taken. Just kind of sink into your shoulders and your clavicle bone for a moment. Notice how that feels on the neck and the shoulders. For me, it doesn't feel so great. But I want you to get the difference between actively pressing into your hands and activating a little bit of the shoulder muscle versus just being really passive. So now press into your fingertips, engage your 10 fingertips, press down there, bend your elbows so the shoulders start to move away from the ears. Press down and start to lift up through the chest. And you're just lifting up the chest, like the chest is moving towards your toes. The elbows are still bent and the elbows are squeezing behind you, like you're trying to touch your elbows together. And again, you're active through your fingertips. Take a big breath in here. Big breath out. And so all we're really doing is signaling to the front of the shoulders, the front of the chest, that some work is coming. This might not be the biggest opening sensation you've ever felt. We're just signaling the muscles. Good. So we'll release out of that. And I'm going to turn around to face the other direction so you can see what I'm doing next. We'll take a really super easy half hero's pose. So my right knee is going to bend and the toes move back. And then I'm really leaning all of my weight onto my left hip. And my left leg is stretched forward for now. I'll bring the hands back behind me and then bend the left knee, plant that left foot. So my left knee is pointing up towards the ceiling. My right knee is down on the mat. Hands are behind me just like we did in Dandasana. I'm now going to press into the hands and actually lift the hips up. So I'm kind of pressing down onto the top of my right foot, the right shin, the front of the right knee bone. The sole of the left foot is active, lifting up through the heart. I start to feel this across the front of my quadriceps. Big breath in. Really easy. Breath out. Let your weight move to your left sit bone. So away from that right knee. And then we'll really easily switch out the legs. Start with the right leg straight. Bend your left knee back. So I'm kind of like on the inner edge of my left foot, inner edge of my left shin bone, and all of my weight's on my right side hip. And then I'll bend that right knee so the sole of the foot's planted. Hands are behind me. And then big breath in, lift up through the hips. So the sensation for me starts to transfer into the quadricep of the left muscle, the left hip flexor. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. One more time, inhale. And then exhale, I'm going to lift off towards the right to release out of this nice and gentle with that left knee. From here, let's make our way into our first downward facing dog. And let your downward facing dog be a little bit more fluid for your first pass at it today. So when you come into this, curling the toes under, pressing through your hands, start to find a little movement right and left through the knees. Maybe you sway your hips side to side. Maybe you add some movement to the head. You can move the head right and left, back and forth. Just kind of get a sense of how the body's feeling, settling in. A few more breaths here. Now let's start to walk the hands back to meet the feet. Hands are walking back to meet the feet. And just come into a really easy forward fold. Relax the crown of the head down towards the floor. Be honest with your back body. Any tension in your back body. Walk your fingertips up to your shins. Press the heel bones down, lift the heart forward. You're in a halfway lift here with real integrity to the spine, the back muscles, and the abdomen. Exhale, refold. Relax your head. Now with all the awareness in the soles of your feet, press down. Start to uncurl the vertebrae one at a time. Come to standing at the back of your mat. So the head comes up very last, and then the arms relax alongside the body. And get the eyes closed here. So I want you to just sense into what you're feeling in your feet. Relax your arms, feel your shoulders shift back over your hips. Your ears shift back over your shoulders. So you're making this one really clean, long line. And then awareness moves down into the soles of the feet. You can feel your heel bone. You can feel your inner and outer arches, the ball mounds of the feet. Can you feel all 10 of your toes? Just take a moment pausing here. Good. So blink the eyes open and we'll move through a few sun salutations. We'll move through some lunging sun salutations to get the body flowing, to establish some pace, but more importantly, to establish the rhythm of the breath. So when you lose sight of the rhythm of the breath, that's your body's cue that you need to take a little break. Child's pose is always there for you. At any point in time, knees down, hips to heels, child's pose is a great option. If you're coming with me, come with me. We'll inhale, stretch the arms up. We'll exhale, we'll fold all the way back in. Inhale, halfway lift, your fingertips to the shins, heart forward, squeeze shoulder blades together on your back. Exhaling, refold, and walk your hands out into downward facing dog. Take a moment here in down dog to feel your 10 fingertips rooting down, pressing the floor away, hips rising, chest moving towards the thighs. Heel bones are heavy. Does not matter if they touch the ground. Mine certainly don't. Okay, from this shape, start to bend your knees, take your gaze forward, and now step your way up to the top of your mat. When you reach the top of your mat, again, inhale breath, hands to the shins, heart forward. Exhale, fold in. Root down through your heel bones. This time, reach your arms forward and all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale your hands to your heart. We'll set up for a malasana squat. So turn the toes out, take the feet a little bit wider. My bones are about hip width distance apart. I'm going to start to bend my knees from here, sink the hips. Just as low as they go. So maybe the hips stay up in line with the knees. If it feels okay on your knees and ankles, you can sink the hips a little bit lower. Wherever you are, inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, fold in. Let the head draw down, bring the feet back underneath the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Leave your fingertips on the ground and just step your right foot back. And then walk your fingertips so that they're framing out your left foot. You're in this low but active lunge. Okay, so your right knee is still lifted. Press down through your fingertips, bring your heart forward. See if you can move that left foot back to meet the right, downward facing dog. Just downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. You're going to step that right foot forward. I like to make this transition by coming up onto my fingertips. Anytime I'm stepping a foot forward, I come up onto my fingertips. That makes my arm much longer. It's easier to step my foot forward and through. So again, pressing down into your fingertips, bring your heart forward. Left leg is active. The knee is lifted. You're in this low lunge. Breathe in. And on your breath out, step the left foot forward to the right foot. Fold in. Again, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, refold. Root down through the heel bones. Stretch the arms forward and up. Come all the way to standing. Reach through the ring fingers. On your exhale, hands to your heart. We'll do that again, leading with the left leg. Inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, fold right down the midline of the body. Inhale, halfway lift. Fingertips plug into the mat. Step your left foot back. Low lunge with integrity to the left leg and the fingertips pressing down and the heart moving forward. Breathe in here. Breath out, downward facing dog. Right foot meets the left foot. Pause here. Inhale, left foot steps forward. Feel free to Find that transition by bringing the fingertips down to the mat. You don't have to keep the hands flat, is all I'm saying. Pause here, heart forward, press down through the hands, press down through the feet, active through the right leg. Deep breath in. Breath out, right foot steps forward to meet the left. Fold in, relax your head. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, refold. Root down through the heel bones of your feet, stretch the arms forward, breathing in all the way up to standing. Exhale your hands to your heart. Okay, so we'll add on. Inhale, arms sweep forward and up. On your exhale, bend the knees. This time, sink the hips. Come to chair pose. Hands can remain at the heart or the arms can stretch forward. Kind of depends on your shoulders. How does that feel in your shoulders? For me, it feels better to keep my hands at my heart. Take a breath here. Inhaling. Now exhaling, hands down, but keep that squat low, low, low. Let your heels lift and then make your way back to a sit. Okay, so you're seated about in the middle of your mat. Just start it with your hands behind you and just lift the feet. Feet in line with the knees. Knees still bent. Get a sense of lifting up through the heart. And then if you like, you can add your arms. Your arms can stretch forward, or maybe they catch the backs of the knees. Find your breath and feel that sense of the heart lifting, low back plugging into the front body. One full breath in here. Breath out, cross the ankles, hands forward, plant the palms, and step your way back into down dog. Pause for a moment in down dog. Breath in. Breath out. Now inhale, shift forward to high plank. Pause in your high plank. Again, breathing in. Breathing out, knees down. Come all the way down onto the belly. We'll step for a round of Sphinx pose. Elbows walk forward, and I want you to check out where your elbows are landing. They're in line with the shoulders, and they're not wide out to the sides. So walk your elbows in so they're in line with the shoulders. Bring your hands, palms together like you're making prayer pose. Press your fingertips in towards one another. Keep that. Press down through the pelvis and the tops of the feet. Inhale, lift the heart, kind of like you're dragging your heart forward beyond the tops of your mat. Take a full breath in here. Now on your exhale, curl your toes under. Lift your hips up. Okay, from here, stay and work that. Or also lift your knees and come into forearm plank. Take a full breath in. Reach through the crown of the head. Reach back through the heels. Feel your inner thighs squeeze together. Lower the knees and the hips back down. Uncurl the toes, press through the tops of the feet. Inhale and Sphinx. One more time through that forearm plank, curling toes. First lift the hips, and then option, you can add the knees on. Forearm plank. In your forearm plank, remember, press your fingertips in towards one another. Root through the elbows, forearms, and pinky edges of the wrists. On your next exhalation, lower the knees, lower the hips. Inhale and Sphinx. Hands back underneath the shoulders. Press your way up to either down dog or back to child's pose. Really your choice. So take some time to kind of think about what's appropriate for you and your energy level today. And if it's hard to make that decision, check in with the breath. Remember, the breath is our one indicator. It's like our compass, our true north. Is it slow and steady? Is it short and shallow? If you're in child's pose, stay there as long as you need to, and when you're ready, join up with us. If you're in down dog, lift the heels, bend your knees, take the gaze forward, and just step your way up to the top of your mat. Once you're at the top of your mat, inhaling, halfway lift, fingertips to shins. Squeeze the shoulders together on your back. Exhale, refold. This time, building chair pose from the ground up. Bend your knees, sink your hips. Stretch your arms forward or hands to your heart in prayer. Take a big breath in here. Take a breath out, your hands back down, but keep the essence of chair pose as you really sink the hips and let the heels lift. Okay, once that's happened, then bring your sits bones down, find that center of the mat, back behind you, your toes in line with your knees. Feel your heart lift up towards the ceiling. Adding on your arms, it's optional. You can stretch the arms forward or hug the backs of the knees, but keep lifting up through the chest. Keep feeling your back body hugging into your front body. One more breath here. Crossing your ankles, bring your hands forward. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Pause in your down dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale, shift forward. Find that high plank pose and pause there. Breathe in. Press the floor away with your hands. Stay active through your 10 fingertips. Move your heel bones back. Press through the ball mounds of your feet. Now slowly lower the knees down. Come all the way to the belly. Second round of Sphinx. Bring the elbows forward underneath the shoulders or more forward of the shoulders, and bring your hands together in a prayer pose, but press down through the pinky edge of the palm, the forearm, and the elbow. Keep that inhale here. On your exhale, curl the toes. Your choice how far you want to come into this. You can just lift the hips, build strength there, or knees can lift too. Forearm plank or supported forearm plank. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more inhale here. Exhale, knees down if they lifted, belly down if that lifted, and then inhale in Sphinx. It's like you're dragging your heart forward by pressing down the arms. When you're ready, walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Your choices, remember, child's pose, tabletop, down dog, choosing wisely what makes sense for your body. Couple of breaths just to rest and recalibrate. Notice the quality of the breath. Okay, moving on from downward facing dog, big inhale, right leg sweeps up and back. On your exhale, shift forward, find three-legged high plank. Right toes hovering above the mat, inner thighs squeezing together. You're balancing on your hands and the ball mound of the left foot. Keep that. Can you bend your right knee, squeeze it towards the right elbow, and don't worry if it doesn't make that connection. Just allow it to go as far forward as it will. Squeeze there. And then re-extend right leg, three-legged dog. Now this time, add on a simple twist. So right hip peels towards the ceiling. You can bend that right knee, point that towards the ceiling. Bend a little bit into your left knee. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. Inhale, re-extend the right leg. Shifting forward, right foot between the hands. This time, rise up to crescent lunge. And let the arms be relaxed. So just take a minute to get your footing in crescent lunge. Left leg is active, and I like to always bend my left knee a little bit. Right knee, see if you can stack it over the right ankle. Now, when we come into these lunges, there's a tendency to really kind of back bend into it as we lift the arms up and overhead. Today, I'm going to ask you to place your hands on your front ribs and again, hug them back in. So we're efforting to stack the torso over the hips. Okay, so we'll see if we can keep that in place and start to bend that left knee a little bit more and a little bit more, and slowly, slowly, slowly lower that left knee to the mat, like the slowest elevator ride you've ever taken. Once that left knee is on the mat, notice that tendency to want to sink forward into the hips. I want you to back out of that a little bit, create these two kind of 90-degree angles of the hip over that left knee, right knee over the ankle. Now, right hand on the right thigh, left arm sweeps forward and up. Bend the left elbow, catch the back of the head. Okay, now press the hand into the head and the head into the hand, and find that length and that back bend from the upper back and from the spine and the neck. So stay active through your feet, keep pressing the floor away, keep thinking about length and lift. Move up and out of the waist. One more breath in here. Breath out. On your inhale, two hands come down inside of your right foot. Now, whenever I take this low lunge, I always move my right foot off to the right side a lot. I even take my heel bone on the mat and my toes off the mat, and I kind of turn it like if they were 1 o'clock on a clock. So I have all the space at the top of my mat for my hands inside of my right foot. Okay, and then just wobble a little bit side to side here. Check out the hips in this position. Check out the knees in this position. So I like to move my left leg back a little bit, create a little bit more space so that I'm not like right on the patella, right on that little round ball of the knee joint, little round bone rather of the knee joint. And then you can stay right here like this because this is so valuable for creating space and length in the front of the hip flexor. Or post into your left hand, bend your left knee, sweep your right hand back. Maybe you catch a hold of the outside of the left foot. Maybe that connection's not happening and you're just actually reaching through the hand and bending the knee. And this is totally fine. This is a great place to work too. If the hand is actually binding with the foot, press the foot into the hand and pull the hand into the foot. So there's these equal and opposite forces. And then again, mindful of that left hand, you're pressing the floor away, start to move the chest forward towards the top of the mat. Stay with this for one more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Slowly, slowly release. Right hand inside of right foot. Left leg re-extends. And then make your way back to downward facing dog. Any way you like, get there. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inhale, shift forward, find that high plank shape. Exhale, knees down. Come down to the belly. This time, round of locust, arms stretch back behind you. Palms face one another. Press down through the hip bones. Stretch the toes back, lift the heart up, reach through the fingertips. Deep breath in here. Exhale your hands under your shoulders. Make your way either to child's pose, tabletop, or downward facing dog. So remember, this is always a choice. All of this is always just, they're options. I'm here as your guide. You know your body best. Take a couple of breaths to recalibrate, reset. If you're coming along with me, second side from downward facing dog. We'll inhale first, extend the left leg up and back. And on your exhale, shift forward, find that three-legged high plank. You're balancing on the tripod of your hands and the ball mound of your right foot. You feel your inner thighs squeeze together. See if you can keep that shape, and then just bend the left knee, move it towards the left tricep. And maybe it makes that connection, and maybe it doesn't. Whatever it is, find your breath. Big breath in. And breath out, re-extend your left leg up towards the ceiling. Start to add on that simple twist. So rotate left hip towards the ceiling, left knee points towards the ceiling, press the floor away with your hands. Bend a little bit into your standing right knee. Deep breath in here. On your breath out, re-extend the legs. Left foot moves forward. Come up onto the fingertips to help make that transition. Rise up to that really easy crescent lunge, easy relative, right? Just relax the arms, but just let it be not so rigid, I guess is what I'm saying. Find your bearing with your feet first. Let's take our hands to the front ribs. Bend a little bit into that right knee. Get the sense that the torso is stacking right in this like really plumb line of the body, and it's going to stay there. Start to bend a little bit more into the right knee. That slow elevator ride, descending right knee towards the mat as slow as you can go. And then if there's a tendency to shift forward in the hips, when you come to that low lunge, back off. Okay, so really stay active through your feet, ribs tucking in. Left hand to left thigh, right arm sweeps forward and up. Bend the elbow, catch the back of the head. So we're efforting to move this back bend up into the thoracic spine. That's the upper back, the upper part of the torso. Press the head into the hand and the hand into the head. Think more about the length and the space than how far you go. Length and space. Reach up with the crown of the head. One more full breath here. Full breath out. Bring your two hands inside of that left foot. And before you sink into this, set up your feet first. So I always make more space by bringing my left foot out to the side, ball mound of the foot off the mat, heel bone on the mat. Like if it were at, what's that, 11 o'clock. My toes are pointing at 11 o'clock. And then I like to make a little bit more space for my right leg. So I kind of tuck the toes under, lift the leg, move it back a little bit. Wobble a little side to side. Check out hips and knee bones. You're more than welcome to stay right here and work with this. This is a great place to be. If you want a little bit more, bending that right knee, sweeping the left hand back. Now maybe this is where you work, or maybe the hand binds with the outer edge of the right foot. Wherever you are, stay aware of this right hand. It's pressing down and you're lifting up and out of the shoulder. You're not sinking into the shoulder. You're really active through that right hand. And can you move the chest more towards the top of the mat? Press the foot into the hand if you have it. Let's take 2 breaths wherever you are in this shape. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Nice and slow release. That left hand comes back inside of the left foot. Right leg extends. Make your way to downward facing dog. Or child's pose or tabletop. Recalibrate the breath. Just take a moment to feel your body. Feel all of your body as you breathe in. Okay, so from downward facing dog, if you're coming with me, we'll bend the knees, take the gaze slightly forward, and just make your way up to the top of your mat. Come into that forward fold, Uttanasana. Relax your head. From the ground up, we'll build chair pose. So bend the knees, sink the hips. Bring your hands up to your heart or extend your arms forward. A moment here. Drop the hips a little bit lower. Pressing into your heel bones, stand all the way up. Good. So we'll revisit this idea of active range of motion and passive range of motion with a few balancing postures. Natarajasana, dancer's pose. We'll try active range of motion first, which means we're not going to use our hands at all to bind to the foot. So you're going to shift the weight into the left foot. And first just bend that right knee, like squeeze that right knee up as if you were trying to get the thigh to the chest without the hands. Hands just come to the hips. Okay? Press down through the left foot and then start to bring that right foot behind you. Keep the knee bent. Squeeze that heel bone in towards the glute as if they were going to touch. Okay, now from here, we typically reach the hand back and bind the hand to the ankle, but we're just going to keep the hands on the hips or the hands at the heart. Pressing through that right foot as if you could reach it up towards the ceiling, hinge at the hips, bring your heart forward. Your knee is still bent, you're still balancing on the left foot. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Nice and slow, release back into an easy Utkatasana. Bend the knees, plant that right foot, sink the hips. Take a moment here, pause, recenter. Standing all the way up, nice and tall. Shift the weight into the right foot, second side. So first, without using the hands, squeeze that left knee up towards the chest. Hands can be on the hips. Press into the ball mound of your right foot. Feel that right foot, right leg real active. Keep the bend of the left knee. Flex the left foot back behind you. And see if you can get that left knee a little bit behind that right knee. Start to feel quadriceps, or back of the quadricep, hamstring, glute, calf, do some work. Now maybe the hands stay at the hips. I like to bring my hands to the heart. Active range of motion, Natarajasana. Tip the heart forward, hinging from the hips, as if you could press that left foot up to the ceiling. Big breath in here. Big breath out. If you fall out, no big deal. Gosh, I've been there so many times. I was just there earlier today, falling out, flailing all over the place. Part of the practice. Nice and slow. Back to that easy Utkatasana. Just bend the knees a little bit, sink the hips back a little. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Standing back up. Take a moment, relax the arms. I'm going to turn to face you so you can see this. I just want you to sway your body side to side. Just sway it out. Arms are relaxed, moving right to left, rotating through the hips and the shoulders. Okay, second round of Natarajasana. I'll give you the option to use a strap or your hand to bind. I'm going to demonstrate with a strap. Okay, so I'm going to take this strap into my right hand. And if you have a wall close by, maybe the left side of your body is next to the wall, like you could reach out and touch the wall to steady yourself. Balance here, yeah, it's a plus and it's helpful, but it's like my second priority beyond working with opening the front body in strength and length. So weight moves into the left foot, maybe reach that left hand out, catch the wall, loop up the right foot. Now here, you see how I have this long strap? I'm going to get my hand as close as I can to my heel bone and keep it there. And then my right knee back to my left knee, so I'm kind of squaring my hips. Okay, so if you're not using the strap, your hand to the outer ankle. Otherwise, keep that elbow close to the body, left hand to the heart or stretch it forward. Same thing you just did on that first side. You're hinging from your hips, you're tipping your heart forward, you're kicking that right foot back up as if you could plant the sole of the foot on the ceiling. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. One more inhale. And then nice and slow on your exhale, see if you can come back to that starting position. Then release that right foot from the strap or the bind. Okay, so second side. Maybe you're turning around so now that your right hand is close to the wall. Moving the weight into the right foot. You're reaching back either with the hand on the outer part of the left ankle or you're using the strap. And if you're using a strap, get your hand as close as you can to the heel bone. So there's not a lot of slack between the heel bone and the hand. Keep your elbow close, kind of like hug it into the ribs. And then start to tilt the body forward, kicking the foot into the hand or the strap. Maybe you're reaching your right arm forward. Maybe the right hand's at the wall. Maybe the right hand's at the chest. So you choose really there. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more inhale here. And then slowly, slowly release on your exhale. Let go of the bind or the strap. Set that off to the side. Let's come back to the top of our mat. We'll bring it down to the ground. One more little bit of a back bend, front body opening, and then cooling down. So top of the mat, feet together underneath the hips. Inhale, extend the arms forward and up. On your exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, halfway lift. And your exhale, step right back into downward facing dog. Just step your feet right back into down dog. Root through the hands, feel the hips rise, feel the chest move towards the thighs. Relax your head. One more breath here. Good. Shift forward into a high plank shape. Bring the knees down, come all the way onto the belly. And this time come into like the sloppiest, easiest Sphinx pose. And when I say that, I mean like let your elbows be wide out to the side. What I told you not to do earlier. Let your elbows be out wide to the sides. Okay, from here, take your elbow farther out to the side and your right hand like as if you were coming into low cobra. So your right thumb in line with the breastbone, the elbow squeezing into the side. And look at your left elbow. I want it higher than your shoulder, just a little bit higher than your shoulder. Your left hand on the mat or beyond the mat. Okay. Now turn your gaze over to your right fingertips. Press down through your right hand. Roll onto your left shoulder and your left hip. You can choose to relax the head here or keep the head in line with the neck. Right leg, it can do anything it really wants. I just like to sweep my right leg back behind my left leg and kind of reach through the toes. Now with your left hand, which is the hand that we're moving towards, we're kind of bearing weight on the left shoulder and the left hip, press down into your left hand. Kind of claw the floor with your fingertips. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. And then come back through center. Find that really kind of easy Sphinx with the elbows wide. Just take a moment here. Okay, so second section. And the reason I want you to take your elbow higher than your shoulder is because the tendency is for that elbow to move below the shoulder, which is not very safe for the front of the shoulder head. So I want you to pay attention as the right elbow comes out to the side. It's higher than your shoulder bone, okay? So elbow is just up barely higher than the shoulder, palm is facing the floor, left hand in low cobra along your ribs. Turn your gaze, look at your left fingertips, roll a little bit of weight onto your right side body, your right shoulder. You can relax your head or leave it up in line with the neck, your choice. Left leg can stretch back behind you or anything you like there. Now let's actively engage those right fingertips, really claw the mat with your right hand, as if you're trying to pull yourself forward. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Nice and slow, roll back onto your belly. Two hands underneath the shoulders. Press your way back to a child's pose. In your child's pose, knees can be wide or knees can be together, your choice. Arms can be stretched forward or back alongside the body. Just choose something that feels good and natural to you. Let your forehead rest on something that is tangible. Could be the yoga mat, could be the backs of your hands or a block. 2 breaths here. Okay, hands underneath the shoulders. Last little bit of work here. Coming up to standing on your knees. We'll move through a few rounds of Ustrasana or camel pose. Exploring active range of motion. And I wouldn't really call this passive range of motion, but the difference between the activation of just using the sheer muscle of the body versus when we bind the hand to another body part to assist in that pose. So first we'll start off with hands on the thighs, active range of motion. Hands on the thighs, you're standing up on your knees. And the hands are going to stay here the whole time. All I'm going to ask you to do is start to hinge your body back. So hips move back, shoulders move back, head moves back, hands stay on the thighs. And you're just going as far as you can go into this. Maybe it's not that much. For me, it's just a few inches, and that's okay. I'm starting to feel all this deep work throughout the core of my body, including the glutes, hamstrings, lumbar spine, paraspinal muscles, quadriceps, to hinge me back. Big breath in, pull yourself back up through center. Take a seat on your heels, pause. Hands on the thighs. Maybe you close the eyes here. Just take a few breaths. Okay, so round number 2, and you have 2 options. You have the first option we just did, active range of motion. It's really great to build core strength throughout the whole circumference of the torso, including the thighs, glutes, and the hamstrings. So we'll stand back up on our knees, on our shins, tops of the feet are pressing down, or you curl the toes under. This makes the heel bones a little bit more accessible. If you know you have a lower range of motion and you want to bind your hands to your feet, you could do that. Okay? We'll start out in the same way. And then I'm going to give you the option to reach your hands back to the outer edges of the feet, just like we did in Natrajasana, and bind the hands to the feet. So start off with the hands to the thighs. Take a big breath in here. Lean the body weight back. Feel the glutes engage. And then if it feels like it makes sense, hands move back, binding the heels with the hands. Otherwise, you're just resting the hands on the thighs and you're working this position. Now, if you have your hands to your heel bones, press down through the shins, tops of the feet, and then you start to move the heart and the hips forward. Wherever you are, one full breath in. Full breath out. If you do have this bind, I want you to see if you can come straight up without twisting the hips. So use that sheer force of the torso to bring yourself back up to standing on the knees, and then release the hips to the heels, come into a seat. Hands to thighs, let the eyes close. Now acknowledge the breath here. Acknowledge that sense of energy moving throughout the body. That pulse of energy, that sense of blood flow. And any emotions that arise, acknowledge those too. And then if you can, just imagine them floating away. Whatever it was, happy, sad, angry, irritated, joyous, laughter, just let it float away. Blink the eyes open. And we'll come into a brief seated position, really easy seated position. So just loosely cross the ankles like you're sitting crisscross applesauce, or Sukhasana in Sanskrit. And again, leave it loose. So like my ankles are kind of like up in line with my knees. I'm not trying to get my heel bones to my pelvis. And if you need to elevate your sits bones on something, like grab a blanket or a pillow, elevate the sits bones, totally fine. We're just forward fold any amount here. So start to walk the hands forward. Let the chin draw in towards the chest. And then let the upper back kind of round. You can continue to walk the hands forward if it feels like there's more for you there. But try not to force it. Soften in, relax. breathe. And start to bring the tempo of breath down. Begin to tap into that more cooling parasympathetic nervous system time in our practice and our day. Keeping the legs just as they are. Start to walk the hands off to your, so if you have your shin bone in front, which is what I have, then walk your hands to your right. If you have your right shin bone in front, then walk your hands to your left. So whatever leg is in front, you're moving the hands to the opposite direction. So my left hand stretching away from my left hip, and my hands are moving off towards the right. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And come back to center. Since we'll lift up through the heart and the chest. Hands back behind you. Just simply switch out the crossing of the ankles and the shin bone. So now my shin bone, I have my right shin bone in front, which is kind of inconsequential because obviously we're doing both sides. So just notice which shin bone is in front for you. Keep it nice and loose. Then start to walk the hands forward. Any amount's fine. Let your chin draw in towards your chest. Feel your sits bones, both of them rooting down into the mat as you soften the spine. So we just went through a pretty strong series of back bends. We don't want to overdo or force our forward fold. Just let it be really soft. This is another good example of passive range of motion. We're softening all the muscles, joints, tendons, ligaments, letting everything relax. Now, whatever shin bone is in front, you're walking your hands away from that leg. My right shin bone is in front, so I'm walking my hands to the left. And then I'm pressing down into my right hand and pressing down into my right sit bone. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Couple more breaths here. Nice and slow. Walk your hands back through center and then back up to that nice tall seat. And just take a moment here, pause. Pause in your seated position. Breathe in. Breathe out. Next, we'll come down onto the back and we'll continue cooling the body, preparing for our final Shavasana. So come down to your back with your knees bent and your feet planted. Like we did at the beginning of class, stretch your right foot up towards the ceiling, but keep your left knee bent and the feet planted. And then figure four on right ankle to left knee. Right knee joint moving out to the right side. If you want, reach through that little keyhole you've created. Pull this figure four into your chest so the hands can interlace around the left shin or the back of the left thigh. Relax your shoulders and the back of your head. So you will keep your figure four shape, but you're going to release your foot, your left foot to the mat. Right ankle still on top of left knee. Arms out to the side. Turning this figure four shape off the left. Outer edge of the left leg relaxes to the floor. Sole of the right foot plants. Now, the floor can feel really far away in this instance. So if the sole of the foot does not get to the floor, slide something underneath it like a pillow or a blanket or a book so that that right foot has something to ground onto. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. If it feels accessible and you'd like to bind left hand to right ankle, you can do that. You could also sweep the right arm up and overhead. About 3 to 4 breath cycles here. I'm going to bring all of that back through center, nice and slow, releasing. Rolling the pelvis back down to the mat, release that right foot. Just pause for a moment, 2 feet on the ground, both knees bent. Breathe in. Breathe out. Second side, left leg lifts. Place that left ankle on top of the right knee. Left knee bends out to the side. You can keep the figure 4 shape here like this. This might be plenty. No, nothing like that. Or you can reach through that little keyhole and you could pull that figure 4 shape closer to the chest, binding the hands around the shin or the right thigh. Keep letting your shoulder blades release and relax. The back of that head heavy. Let the neck feel neutral so the chin's not jutting up towards the ceiling to get the bind. Okay, the bind is really secondary. Start to release that right foot back down, but keep your figure 4 shape. Take this figure 4 shape off to the right. Your outer right leg relaxes, sole of the left foot plants on something. It can be the floor or a yoga block if you have it. It can be a book, towel folded, pillow, whatever you have. Optional bind, right hand to left ankle, left arm up and overhead. Remember, these are options. These are not requirements. Slow, deep belly breathing, 3 to 4 rounds here. Nice and slow. Unwind, come back through center. Uncross the left ankle, plant both of your feet. If there's any last movement or particular shavasana setup that you'd like to make, now would be the time. You could take your legs up the wall. You could pick up your laptop or your phone and crawl into bed. You can slide a blanket or a pillow underneath the backs of your knees. So get creative with your shavasana because I'd really like it to be a place that is supportive of stillness for you. Take 30 seconds or so to find that position, make those final adjustments, and start to settle in. I will set us a timer. We'll be in shavasana for the next 3 minutes. If you haven't already descended, go ahead and do so now. As you do come into this final shape, take a big breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, exhale the air out. And feel all of the muscles release, the whole back body softening. Everything becomes heavy. Let your eyes flutter closed. Feel the eyes sink heavy into their sockets. Feel your back teeth part. Let your tongue widen at the base of your mouth. The whole jaw softens and releases. All of the muscles of the face relax. There's nothing left to do. Just be here right now. Shavasana. And take about a minute of silence. If you have time for a longer Shavasana and you're comfortable and peaceful where you are, please just ignore these next few instructions and stay exactly as you are. You're ready to move on with your day into your evening. Slowly begin to bring awareness back into the fingertips and the toes. Begin to add gentle movement. Begin to move the head side to side. When you're ready, breathing in, stretch the arms up and overhead. Breathe into the length of your body. Point the toes away from the face. Bend your knees. Roll off to a side. Find fetal position for just a moment. Continue into your hands. Rise up to a comfortable seated position. Feel free to grab something to sit on, even if it's a chair. And feel your sits bones root down and your spine grow tall. Join your hands together at your heart. Bow your chin to your chest. Take a moment here to honor your effort and your practice. May we use the fruits of our practice to serve our highest good, to reach our highest potential. May we share it with those around us that we love or who could use healing. Together we send love and healing to all sentient beings around the world that may be suffering. May they be happy. May they be free. Namaste.